In the previous video we finished the body and we also changed the teeth and experimented a bit with the modifiers and the presets, and in this video we are going to see the features in the body hair panel, and we are going to make a real-time mesh hair using the grooming tools in Blender. This is the stage in which we finished in the previous video. And now we are going to go into the hair and fur panel, and we are going to start tweaking the options of the eyebrows to change them and see how it looks better. So I'm observing that the eyebrows may be a bit too thick, so I'm gonna try to remove a bit the hair amount, and I'm going to modify also the hair spread to see if I like it better or not. And I'm also going to try choosing other kinds of eyebrows just for fun to see how they modify the expression of the face. I can also change the color if I wish to, although for now I'm gonna leave it as it is. And next I'm going to start modifying the eyelashes. I'm going to activate the clamp. I'm going to see if a bit more of amount looks better. And when I'm satisfied with the result, I'm going to move on to the body hair section, and I'm going to activate the pitch fuzz. It's not very visible in the Blender preview, but if we go to the viewport shading, you can see that there's a lot of hairs covering the body of the character. And to make it less distracting, we can hide them by clicking Hide Body Hairs from View. There is an option in Transhuman for Blender to turn all the hairs into mesh cards for real-time characters or characters that need to be exported outside of Blender. Inside of each of the panels we can find that turn curves to mesh, and by activating it, the curves that are already present will become mesh cards. We can also change the hair type with a slider to different results. And in the eyebrow section there is also 5 samples of eyebrows already made with mesh that you can choose from that have a smaller poly count. So you can either choose to convert the curves that you have, or you can choose one from the eyebrows mesh selection. I'm going to leave it as it was before, and I'm going to show you how you can also turn the eyelashes into mesh if you need to export the character, but I'm going to leave it for now as a curve for the final render. Another thing I'm going to do is activate in the beard and stubble section. I'm going to activate the nose hair because it's not very noticeable, but it gives a little bit of realism to the character. So it's always good to have it on. Finally, with all the body hair selected, we are going to move on into the hair in the head, which is stored under the panel wig. When we deactivate the hide wig from view, we will see the wig that appears, and it's already groomed in a short curly way with some color applied. We are going to start removing all the edits, removing the curls, the colors, the clamp, and make the hair standard so we can start creating a new hair for our character. After removing everything, I'm going to start changing the color, and I'm going to choose a bluish black shade for the hair. I don't want it to be too extreme for now, but I want to have a little bit of blue into the black of the hair. And in the color options I can choose the shade I want and then adjust the saturation and the hue until I can get a good result I like. Next, I'm going to turn the wig into mesh cards also, because I like how it looks, as we will see in a moment. And another thing I'm going to do is go into the advanced options for the mesh, and I'm going to remove the short hair option, so the long hair will be selected. And I'm going to try the different types of hair until I find one that I like. If we return to the viewport shading, we can see that the hair curves that we had before have now transformed into mesh tubes, and they rendered in a very realistic, beautiful way. We can also choose to inherit the curls from the curves, So if we have any curls active, they will manifest into the mesh too. And now I'm going to start grooming the hair like if it was any other kind of curved hair. I can just use the blender tools for grooming the hair, and I'm going to brush it, move it out of the way, and I'm going to start working on the shapes that I want. I'm going to increase the length, and then I'm going to decrease it a little bit because I think it was too much. And now I'm seeing there are some artifacts in the mesh. The mesh in some points is twisted, and this can be easily solved by smoothing the hair. Those twists should disappear, and I'm going to create the shape that I have in mind for this character. If we go into render view, we can see that the mesh card looks very realistic when rendered, even in cycles. I'm going to start changing the color, adding a bit of highlights. I'm going to add a little bit of blue into the hair, and also I'm going to color the roots with a bit of a gradient into a lighter greenish blue color. If I remove the curve to mesh, we will go back into normal hair curves, and then we can see that the colors also apply to it, so you can switch back and forth, and it's always going to be consistent with your choices. If we can see the sculpt too much, we can always increase the sculpt strength to remove a little bit of the bald spots. And I'm going to start playing with the options, activating the feign curls from UV, which is only compatible when you have tubes for the hair. And what this is going to do is simulate curls without adding any extra geometry. And the only downside to this is that we cannot work with the hair type anymore, but we can modify the curls in the feign curls option by modifying the actual curls in the panel that is right up. We can add gravity, we can change the frequency, and it's all going to reflect into the feign curls. We can also combine it with inherit curls. So adding curls into the mesh hair, we are going to achieve very interesting effects. And it's not going to add any extra geometry, since it's all calculated in the UVs. Now we can see that the poly count is very high because we are using tubes, and also we have the mesh resolution a bit high. And we can reduce the poly count by reducing the mesh resolution, and we can see that it dramatically decreases. But we can decrease it even more by turning the tubes to cards. And it still looks very realistic. The coverage is also 100%, and there don't seem to be any bald spots. There are some tools we can utilize to remove the bald spots, but in this occasion I'm not going to use them. Instead, I'm going to play a bit with the curl amplitude, and I'm going to increase the spread radius, which is going to make the gap of the bald spot a lot smaller. Then I'm going to compare between the mesh curves and the inherit curves in the tubes, and I'm going to decide to go for the mesh style because it looks more realistic and it works better with the idea I have for this character. Once I'm happy with how the hair looks, I'm going to continue modifying the hairstyle. I'm going to make it longer in the back, and then I'm going to start trimming it, giving it a little bit of volume. I'm going to create some layering so the hair will have a very intense volume. And once I'm happy with the design, it's time to move on and animate the hair. Thank you for watching. In the next video we will see how to finish the hair, animate it and pose it so it looks very realistic. Stay tuned.